Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Life. Today, we are joined by Kate Galli. Hello, Kate. Welcome.
Hey, Elise. Hey, Dan. It is a pleasure to be here.
We are so thrilled. Our very first guest from Australia. And Kate, you have been a personal trainer, a health coach for over 18 years. You are an NLP practitioner. You have your very own podcast, the Healthification Podcast, which I love that name. And it seems by just looking at your website and your social media and listening to some bits of your podcast, you seem to know what's going on with fitness and sustainability and really cultivating an overall well-being and bringing that into a lifestyle that supports growth and self-acceptance and most importantly, self-love, which I think the fitness industry can sometimes lack as we unfortunately can beat ourselves up with looking a certain way, having a certain diet and nutrition lifestyle. So what I'd like to start off with giving us a little background on how you got to where you are today. What inspired you to do this? How did you become a health coach and fitness trainer?
Absolutely. Thank you, Elise. So I was a debilitatingly shy teenager, like really punishingly shy. And I first got into the gym almost 3 decades ago now, which is crazy, as a means by which to both change my own body and also change my confidence. So I learned the power of exercising consistently, particularly lifting heavy weights to actually choose your curves. That's what I like to say. But also the confidence that transforming your body gives you. And this is one of the things I love most about what I do now as a personal trainer and health coach, to see the confidence that an individual gets when they come into the gym and they're a little bit fearful and they're kind of like a rabbit in the headlights and they're zero confidence about their ability to achieve their goal often. And then bit by bit, they have that success, and the way that the confidence that they feel now in the gym is applicable to every other area of their life. And that's what it was like for me. It opened a whole new window. And as you so kindly said, maybe I've got a few things right now. However, wow, I made so many mistakes. I have changed my mind on, gosh, most things so far as creating a fit, strong, healthy body and a lifestyle that you love and that is sustainable. So I've changed my mind on a lot. I've learned a lot, and I'm passionate about, sharing those learnings and helping people avoid some of the many mistakes that I made.
I love that. Yes. And that's kind of, I think, one of the biggest gifts of life is challenges and, possibly obstacles that mostly can be self-imposed, but we're
Yeah.
limitless potential beings that have this innate capability to achieve any goal, whether that be in the gym or business, relationship wise, family wise, anything. There's a number of things. And fitness is just such a beautiful example as a overarching metaphor of life because it allows you to gain not only like body strength, but real mind strength. And I think that that's something that Dan and I have cultivated certainly over the past, decade of, I want to speak for myself here, not Dan. I used to go to the gym and beat myself up. It was a punishment for what I had eaten before. And, I had struggled with an eating disorder for nearly 12 years. And I was working out at the time. And when I stopped the eating disorder, I still hadn't fully healed the relationship that I had with food as nourishment for my body, food as information. And I just wanted to look a certain way because I wanted to gain self-acceptance and love from other people. But I didn't realize what was missing was that acceptance of myself and how I looked in the present moment. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your personal journey through your own, fitness and health. But then also 18 years of coaching people. I mean, that's a lot. So I bet you've maybe seen patterns and maybe if there were any light bulbs that kind of made you connect dots with maybe, the way people were either saying or acting in the gym, but like maybe their mindset wasn't exactly in alignment with what they were trying to possibly achieve overall.
Absolutely. I relate to a lot of what you say, Elise. I had an eating disorder in my last year of school as well. And I originally approached creating the body I wanted. It was all about vanity. And
Mhm.
I was young. And I originally approached that from, as you say, a beat body mindset. Whereas now I like to think of a best body mindset. And that's not the hottest, fittest body. That's more so treating your body the best, treating your body like you and your body are a team. Might sound a bit airy fairy, but I speak about this with my clients all the time. It's the only body you've got. You're in it together. You treat each other with love. You teach your body to trust you by the way that you move and the nutrition that you give it. And so, going back early days, I would spend a couple of hours a day, 6 days a week in the gym doing an hour weights and an hour cardio. And then I'd come back and sit on the couch and eat all the refined carb crapola because I'd smashed my body, right? And it was about being as small and lean as I possibly could be. And I learnt over the years, it's actually about being as strong as I possibly can be. And I'm heartened to see that people are talking more and more about the value in mental strength, not just physical strength, and doing hard things every day so that we have that resilience. And working hard in the gym, that is a hard thing that you can do nearly every day that is good for your body, right? And so gradually over the years, I kind of changed my approach with the amount of exercise that I would do and the fact that exercise isn't just about the body, it's precious me time. And I have gratitude that I can do this, that I have the time and the health and the, financial capacity to join a gym and work in a gym. And I think very much it is something to be grateful for. It's not a punishment that we inflict on our body. I guess moving to clients, the biggest thing that I've noticed, as you say, language is everything. Early days, I used to say that nutrition is 80% of any body composition goal. Most of my clients come to me with a body composition goal, mostly fat loss, really. And so 80% is nutrition, 20% is exercise. I'm not very good at math because I say 100% is mindset. So that gets
Yes.
us to 200. Like it's
Yeah.
all mindset. And that's where maybe the NLP comes in a little bit. It's the way we communicate with others, but absolutely even more so, it is the way that we communicate with ourselves. And I am all about making it as easy on ourselves as possible, as effective, efficient, easy, sustainable, and joyful. And these are the strategies that I like to share with my clients. And the clients that get the best results, they don't have the flashiest gym or program or most restrictive nutrition strategy. They're consistent and they take responsibility for their results. And that is, and they don't have the most time or money either. Often the people that are the busiest, they're the ones turning up at 6 a.m. in the morning. And if they have a busy day, they ask if they can turn up at 5:30 in the morning. They take
Mhm.
responsibility, they're consistent, and they're kind to themselves in their approach as well.
Yeah, I love that. I think
Love it.
right
Yes.
right before we hopped on, Elise pointed out that we were probably going to have a lot in common, and I absolutely agree with everything that you just said. I love the point you made about the people that work out at 6 in the morning. I noticed that too in my training, that the earlier people trained, they're usually the most consistent, and they're the ones that find a way to get it. And it's the people that are like, well, maybe I'll do 5, maybe I'll do 6, or in the evening, and it's like maybe they're not going to show up. And it's really cool to see the people that have that mindset, and then also to see
100%.
people that develop it as they start to realize the benefits that come with the consistency and the frequency of the exercise and everything else they're doing.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also love what you're saying about mindset
Mm.
in general being 100% of it.
Yeah.
And this is also what I've kind of found I've been doing not quite as long as you, but I've been a trainer for a little over 10 years now.
Nice.
And I've found that, like, even when I was first starting and growing up, I always thought, run the same thing. It was like, first I thought exercise was the most important. Then I was like, no, diet's the most important thing. And then I've come to realize that all those things are just helping our mindset. So like by showing up and doing the exercise, it's helping reinforce our belief about who we are. In the same way, the foods that we eat, like when we eat in a way that's in alignment with our needs and we feel
Yeah.
good about the food that we're eating, that just reinforces that everything that we're doing is to take care of ourselves. So that like those things are always helping, but it's always 100% our mindset and how we feel about ourselves and what we're doing.
I absolutely agree. You say reinforcing the belief about ourselves, and Atomic Habits author James Clear speaks about this all the
Mhm.
time. That belief that or identity belief, even anything that comes after I am is an identity belief, and to have the belief that I am a person who exercises no matter what it takes is a really effective belief, and it's an amazing reframe from an old belief that you might have had. I'm not a natural exerciser. I'm naturally lazy. I'm not genetically gifted. Any of us, irrespective of where we start, because I'm naturally uncoordinated. I'm not genetically gifted. I find it quite hard to gain muscle. I can gain fat pretty well. Like they were all old beliefs, but for a lot of years now, I've had a belief that no matter what, I do the actions that get me the results I want. And that's a much more fun and effective belief to cultivate.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Within your coaching practice and, fitness instruction, do you help people with their mindset? Like I know that you mentioned people come to you for mostly body composition and, possibly losing weight. So I'd love to hear if you incorporate some sort of mindset in a very instructional way or kind of like you sneak it in, kind of like under the radar. Cause I think Dan can speak to
Mhm.
this kind of what he realized he needed to do. Most people don't hire fitness or even holistic lifestyle coaches for their mindset. They're going to
Yeah.
therapists or other, counselors for that. But Dan and I used to always say, I used to do nutrition coaching for Dan's holistic lifestyle business. I don't do that anymore. But we'd always joke that in some part we were people's therapists.
Oh,
Because
for sure.
they open up like it's a free for all. They're not with their spouses or children or whoever, and it's just like a blank slate. Like you can tell me anything, and you're very in tune with being the observer in this one-on-one dialogue. And you get to not only obviously observe their movements, but really hear the way that they're speaking to you and to themselves and the way that they describe, things to me or, oh, I can't eat this or I can't do that or, oh, I haven't, done my workout. So I'm going to do extra this. It was all a very like derogatory, judgmental, self-criticism, black or white type of mentality. So I'm curious if you, offer this mindset kind of coaching within your practice or if it is just more subtle.
I absolutely do. Again, it's client dependent. They come to you for the exercise,
Yes.
and you give them what they want, but you also give them what they need where you can. And that is the mindset. The little conversations that you filter in during the actual workout. And obviously, the longer a client's been with you, the more you get to do that. Yes, because you've got that trust and rapport, but also because you've everything else is happening a little bit more automatically. So I'm in an unusual position right now where I changed cities at the end of last year. And so only 2 months ago, I've started at a new gym. I had a few months off PT. I've started at a new gym. All my clients are new, obviously. And so I'm having to work through all of this again. We just need to get our exercising action sorted right now. And then gradually I can look to put in the food and the mindset and all of that. You know, back in Sydney, I used to do like set mindset sessions and set nutrition sessions because there's only so much you can sneak in while you're also getting an effective workout and you're having the conversations that maintains rapport and all of that. So, I mean, again, client dependent and time dependent. However, so important. And I won't lie, everything mindset is my favorite part of it. Like that is my passion. That is what is most fascinating. The mindset and relationships is what has kept me in PT this long. And I see it as such a privilege that I get to observe the mindset of incredibly successful people, right? Very successful businesswomen and businessmen. And I get to see the correlations, the similarities between this mindset that they take to business and the mindset that they apply to their health and fitness. And I absolutely love that because you can model one across from the other as well. You can look at, these little rules that you've made for yourself in business or with your family and how they're really effective. And you can take inspiration from that and say, how might I apply that to my health goal if I'm not already applying it to my health goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's like success leaves clues, and you always have
Yes.
that. You can always look to someone who's doing something right and learn and pick up little things.
Yeah, so true.
How have you, I think I just had a question for you and I kind of lost it, but, like what have you picked up from those people as far as the mindset that works, we'll say, and obviously like everybody's going to be different, but what sort of like patterns have you seen where the people who are really successful and are applying that like in all different parts of their life versus people that maybe don't have it or are new and haven't quite figured it out yet?
Yeah. Um, so as I mentioned, they're consistent and they accept responsibility. I think the acronyms that I've heard back in the past is you're in the boat and you have the oar, and that's all about ownership, accountability, and responsibility. And that's instead of being in bed where you're full of blame, excuses, and denial, right? So the people who are successful are all about the ownership and responsibility. And I mean, that is just absolutely amazing to see, and you can see how they're so successful in other areas of your life. Where I was going with that, actually, some of the things that I have learnt in NLP, and you might have learnt as well, I feel like some of the presuppositions in NLP, the little rules that exist in NLP that are success strategies and that are so very powerful. Some of the most successful people that I've met in life, whether that's in business or whether that's in the gym, they do it naturally. And they're almost a bit confused when their little, personal trainer speaks about it. They haven't even thought about these things that just come naturally to them. And that
Mhm.
is something that I've noticed. If I kind of wrote it out as a bit of a rule or an acronym or a hey hat, they'd be like, yeah. So yeah, that is something that I've noticed. Whereas the kind of the food strategies and everything, if these successful people in business find it hard to apply the same level of discipline to their food, which often they do because we've all got a limited daily discipline quota, right? And they might
Mhm.
use it all up in business, and then at the end of the day, when they get home from work at 8 p.m., there's no discipline left in the tank, and that's where the food strategies that I, share with them about setting up your environment for success, these types of things, that's where they're really effective. Where in contrast, some of the big mindset stuff might just come to them naturally, which I find quite fascinating.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
That
sense.
is really fascinating. I'd love to actually hear some of the strategies that you maybe use as universal principles or practical tools to help people on this, wellness journey, fitness journey, life journey in general, because i- so many times I think too with clients of ours, they had done different diets, different programs, and 30-day shred and 90-day shred, and then they eventually put all the weight on and they're still confused about nutrition because there's so many conflicting diets, and there is never one size fits all, not only for food but also workouts. I'm certainly not doing the workouts Dan's doing.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'm curious, with everybody's own uniqueness, are there particular tools and practices that you advise or coach people on that is universal to help this be sustainable so that people can actually implement them and not feel overwhelmed? Because our life is busy enough already. Everybody's got jobs and kids and school and pets and side hustles, and you want to have fun activities. So if there's anything that's really possibly stuck out to you that has worked within almost your 20-year tenure of coaching, if that would be wonderful to hear some practical tools that you have in your pocket.
They absolutely are. And gosh, it's frustrating to see people do that start, stop, and get amazing results and let it go. And I've spoken of my clients who are so successful in business and in the gym, but there are also the clients who are so successful in, say, business or family and not in the gym. And that is frustrating. My go-to so far is the strategies that I believe is definitely number one with any goal and will work for anyone. Takes little bit of work up front, but it lays the foundation for your results to come. And that is to first define your values and beliefs and then to align them with your goal. So I am massive on this. I mean, maybe even before that, we need to get really clear on our goal and more so the emotional intensity and what achieving that goal will allow you and everyone that you love to achieve. To make that stick long term, we need to elicit our values. Those are the emotional states that we're drawn to, that we seek out before anything else. There's no right or wrong. Mine are freedom, passion, integrity. Someone else's might be love, family, connection. Our identity beliefs as well are really important to get clear on too. But let's stick with values and goal. I'll give you an example. Someone whose number one value might be family and they're looking to achieve a fitness goal. The actions they need to take to achieve that goal might initially seem like they're in conflict with that value of family. Maybe they need to get out of the house early before work instead of family time. Maybe they need to change their nutrition and they're ignoring some of those old family favorite foods. And that might be incongruent, a bit of a conflict. They're going to be fighting themselves to take the actions they need to take to achieve that goal. They don't have to change their goal. They don't have to change their values. They just need to change the way that they think about it and come up in their own words with the way that they see taking these actions, being the most fit, strong, healthy person that gets to spend a full, healthy, happy life with my children, that models a healthy life for my children. This is absolutely in line with my value of family or love or connection or whatever it may be. So that is my go-to wherever I can. People want to start, as we said, with the eating actions and the exercising actions. We just want to do. But if I can, I'll slow down and we'll go back there because this is the foundation that is going to drag you through on your struggle street days, right? When discipline and motivation wear thin, and you need to take that tougher action, returning to your values and beliefs and the fact that they're aligned with this goal is, I think, the most powerful thing by far.
I am just I absolutely blown away and amazed and beautiful the way that you described that and set that precedent and cultivate a space for your clients to do that. I mean, how amazing if every trainer did that, where, most trainers are just here to get you results and goals. And I'm not saying that there aren't amazing trainers out there. Knowing obviously Dan is doing this too. I've got one sitting right next to me, in fact. He's been a guinea pig for like 10 years. So I very much know. Yeah. Well, because I think it seems just at the depth of what you're offering your clients, and very similar to Dan, you're offering them something they probably don't know they really require. That's below the surface of this fitness and new workout and diet lifestyle. And that's literally what the deep life is. It's going beneath the surface level. So many people begin fitness journeys to look a certain way. And I'm the first person to raise my hand, as you explained too. There's absolutely nothing wrong with looking good. I mean, that to me is a part of my self-worth and honoring my body, because it's beautiful to see the definition in muscles or whatever. But it can be distorted if you don't have a very clear value set on what you truly believe about yourself deep down. And that for me was what I didn't know, that I didn't know what I needed was self-love. So I'd actually love to kind of switch or just move the conversation there to self-love and how that's cultivated in a world that unfortunately has told us and shown us who to be. And I feel like so many people are lost in their identity and lost in values that may be inherited by whether it be family, school, some type of religion, or just society, movies, the media, magazines. I mean, it can be a very hard thing to actually know what you value and what you're actually truly, like I said, seeking from a new fitness regimen and regime. That I truly believe, after talking to many coaches as well as clients, what everybody's looking for is their own self-acceptance and self-love.
Mm. Absolutely. I don't know if I have action steps for self-love. However, I do know that I
Anybody
came
does,
from
to be honest.
I do know that I came from a place where absolutely that wasn't the way that I feel. And now I'm in a really good space. And it's not about how my body looks. Absolutely. It's about how I treat my body. It's not about how my body looks. It is, for me, again, about living a life that where your actions are aligned with your values and beliefs. And part of it is your reputation with yourself. So part of it is knowing that you're a person who turns up for you. So getting clear on what you want to achieve, what your values and goals and beliefs are, and living that life aligned with that. Um, I would say also, I mean, one of my biggest lessons, which I learned in the business I not so affectionately call the business from hell, which was a gym franchise, my biggest lesson was to back yourself 100%. And, the last few years have shown this even more. Like, nothing's certain. Tomorrow's not certain. Next month is not certain. Circumstances aren't certain. And it's always been that way. However, I just feel like more of us have realized that's the case in recent years. And so if you can't control people or circumstances, the one thing that you can control, for those of us that seek control, and I do, the one thing that you can control is yourself and the way you turn up in a situation. And you can back yourself, which is a certainty of self. And when you back yourself and you take those actions bit by bit, that builds up your love of self, your certainty of self, whatever it may be. It turns into a virtuous cycle as opposed to that vicious cycle, right? Where you don't take the actions, you let yourself down, you feel a bit more crap, you lose belief in your ability to ever achieve what you're looking to achieve. So I think it's just a daily, weekly, monthly, bit by bit, taking these actions, maintaining these habits, and being really having a whole lot of volition with the language that you choose in relation to yourself. For a lot of people, they find that hard. And so maybe I would prompt them to say, think of the way that you'd speak to your daughter, your mum, your little niece, whatever it may be, whatever language you choose towards them, use that language, choose those thoughts towards yourself. And that's what's coming up for me so far as self-love.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yes. It's beautiful. What did you say?
I was just said thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Self-love is certainly it's a journey, right? There's
Yeah.
unfortunately not a handbook, or I feel like everybody
No.
have it. And it's something that I work on every day. And I feel, you know, when I was doing the nutrition coaching a few years ago, um, I I really truly didn't realize how affected I was by my relationship to food. I thought I had healed it just because I was bulimic, just because I stopped binging and purging. But I've said this today, and I've said it on the podcast, I truly believe that the universe gave me these clients to learn through, because the way that I spoke to them, not that I wasn't helping them in any way, but you could tell that I was still insecure and not loving myself. And it was just a beautiful mirror for deeper self-development and self-awareness, and really truly self-love, to cultivate this. I guess really the only word I can say is the deeper understanding of my relationship to my body and being able to trust it in certain areas. I love that you said that, with having trust in certain movements that you have. And like when you're doing heavy lifts, or even when you're doing yoga, I've like recently been onto this yoga kick in the last like 6 months, where I'm typically a very, like I like the heavy weights too. Like I
Yeah.
found myself like in the gym, like trying to keep up with Dan, but not really. We went on a like a wellness retreat to Costa Rica, and there was obviously no gym there or anything, and there was just daily yoga, and I fell in love with it. But what I've noticed is I struggle sometimes with balancing poses and moving my body in ways that I'm very unfamiliar with, and I tend to fall and I stumble and I do these things, and it's a beautiful reminder, like, the intuitive nature of who I really am is going to guide me when necessary. So when I'm falling and off balance, like, it's okay. It's just a better allowance to, again, have that connection and deeper relationship
Mm.
to my body. Like, my body's good. I am strong. I can make these poses. I can do these things. So I'm curious, if you feel, I know that you said that you feel the same way about trusting your body, but I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that and how you've seen or coached your clients to trust their body instinctually. This can also be in regards to food too. Would love your perspective on that, because one diet will work for one person, another diet's not going to work for another. We know that you're vegan too. We are not vegan. But again, everybody we want everybody to eat in alignment with their values and what's proper for them. I think we were listening to a podcast the other day, and she was saying that, kale is kind of pegged as like a new superfood, or it's been a superfood for maybe a decade now, if not longer. But she is allergic to like sulfur, which is highly prevalent in kale, so she can't eat it. So for her, it's not a superfood. Me, like, I really can't do almonds very good, or I can't digest wheat. I have a gluten intolerance. So it's like these things, unless you understand and can trust your body to tell you what's good or what is best for the nutrition and like the nutrients that are available within you, um, it's all kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Trial and error.
Mm. I guess on the matter of trust, you think of the people that you trust most. They're the people that are reliable and that turn up for you. They don't let you down. And so that's what you're wanting to do with your body. And it is a fine line. And as you said, it applies to so many things. It applies to your workouts, sure. It applies to your nutrition. It applies to business as well. It's knowing that when I often think, what action is going to make me feel best at the end of the day? I had COVID a few weeks ago, whatever, and I actually felt pretty fine. I was home because it was irresponsible to go to the gym, and I felt like I could still do a home workout. And because there's ego in that as well, around wanting to maintain the way that I look, and weights makes me feel good and all of that. And the question I ask myself is, tomorrow at the end of the day, what am I going to feel better for having done? I always want to go to bed proud. I don't want to make other people proud. I want to make me feel proud and happy with my day. And I was like, yeah, I want to go to bed knowing that I've done a workout, right? And I had enough trust in my body to know it still felt strong. It wasn't detrimental for my body to still train. And so I did. And I did that several days that week. And, it was all good. And it's the same with nutrition as well. I get that it's hard for people if they come from either a history of always being overweight and not comfortable with their body, or a history like us of having disordered eating. It can be hard to have that trust. With time, you build up that reputation with yourself where I think I underate today. My body deserves a little bit more. Like, I don't have to stick strictly to whatever plan that I'm on. This fuel for my body is good for it right now. It's not about restriction or punishment. I think, again, with trust, it's just the daily habits that we build up that are in our body's best interests. And I would say also, having the awareness to know when a habit A needs to be upgraded, or B, potentially the opposite, is no longer serving you. I'm really stubborn. And particularly in fitness, that stubbornness, that discipline, that consistency to a fault, it serves us until it doesn't. And I think we need to know when it's no longer serving us. It's probably still a to work on for me. And have the self awareness to go, hey, this might be something that I need to change now. It's not the best thing for my body. It's not the most valuable use of my time, whatever it may be.
Love that you
Yeah.
said that. Yeah.
That's good. I love how you keep using the idea of like having a reputation with yourself and with your
Hmm.
body. And it's a really cool way of kind of like almost visualizing in a sense that relationship between you and your body and
100%.
letting like showing people that even if you don't have maybe a great reputation with your body and a great relationship with your body over time, as you keep showing up authentically and in alignment with your values and doing the things that you told yourself you were going to do, that reputation improves and you can start to really like connect more or connect in maybe a more um, just like a more authentic way with yourself and with your body.
I love that you said that because it reminded me of something I wanted to say before to our listeners who are thinking, well, this all sounds, I don't want to use the word fake, but I want to say that any of these super positive new habits or thought process that you create, early days, they are very well going to feel manufactured. I remember this when I first studied NLP and I learned that judgment is reflected back on you, right? The more judgment you put out, the more is reflected back to you. And I was a lot younger and I recognized that I was quite a judgmental person, far out coming from fitness in Sydney, where I lived there as well. That was very normal. And I thought that's not good. And so it was a conscious effort that I made every time I saw someone and I made some fickle, stupid judgments. I would reframe it in my head straight away and think a positive thing about that person. Because also your unconscious mind is always listening, right? Like if I'm saying something awful about someone else in my head, my unconscious mind is thinking that about me.
Mhm.
And so I would consciously manufacture a better thought every single day until it started happening naturally. And that's the same for all of the success strategies that the three of us are discussing right now. To our listeners, if you think, yeah, I want the result for that, but it sounds a bit fake and manufactured, it will only feel that way for a short time. And then it will become natural and it will happen at an unconscious level. And that's much more sustainable and fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'd actually love for you to tell Kate about like how you help people like visualize them in the highest version of themselves first, like using that. And I'd just be curious to hear her opinion or if she does it too unconsciously or subconsciously. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something I've been spending a lot of time working on and just within myself originally. And like, I used to be very judgmental.
I mean, me too.
Um,
It's who is it?
Yeah,
Like you're saying, the
maybe.
control. Me too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And I think a lot of it did stem from like, I didn't have a good relationship with myself and I
Yes.
judged myself a lot and I was really hard on myself. And I kind of like what Elise was alluding to earlier, like I would want to punish myself into looking a certain way to get whatever validation from the outside world and acceptance. And I didn't love myself. And
Mm.
because I didn't love myself, I was looking for everything in the outside world. And then kind of just the longer I've been on this journey, the more I've paid attention and learned and kind of studied these ideas, the more I first started kind of practicing visualizing for myself and visualizing the way I wanted to, not only look and show up in the world, but also feel and just go to the version of myself that I wanted to be. And then also doing that for other people and trying to imagine all the people in my life the way that I want them to show up so that the relationships that I'm having
Mm.
are what I want and not sort of like, not necessarily trying to change people, but trying to create a loving relationship both ways where we're learning from each other and helping each other.
Mm.
So something that has been really good with me is almost like visualizing my clients achieving their goals so that I'm putting a lot of this energy into making this relationship work on both sides and helping them to become who they told me they want to be. And one of the things I've learned along the way is like the same idea as judgment. It's like when you put that out there, like if I am putting out only good thoughts and hopes and like dreams for somebody, if they don't choose to accept those within themselves, that's just going to come back to me in the same way that if I was judging them harshly and like nobody's good enough and nobody can kind of keep up with me or nobody like these clients aren't good enough, I need better clients,
Mm.
then I'm never going to get good clients because that's the energy that I'm putting into it. But if I can imagine all my clients achieving their goals and being the best version of themselves, then that's what we're fostering as an energy in between us.
I absolutely love that. And visualization is absolutely something to work on for me. I've struggled with it in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm I am a firm believer in what you focus on expands. So there's absolute value in that. And, I always focus on the positives and want the best for my clients. However, as you were saying that, Dan, I was like, oh my God, that is so applicable to family relationships. And at
Yeah,
least you
yeah.
mentioned
Mm-hmm.
I'm vegan. That's a huge point of conflict within my family with my father. And my success strategy is to focus on what we have in common. We really have much more, sadly, we have a lot that we disagree on. But my success strategy is to really focus on what we have in common. However, Dan, you've given me a little bit of an epiphany in which I actually need to start imagining him not becoming vegan. That's too high of a hurdle, lower the bar. But I need to imagine him with the energy and the open-heartedness and the compassion and imagine the relationship that I want us to build together because I know, even though my words I'm very in control of, I know the energy that is emanating from me from time. I know there's judgy energy, an angry, frustrated energy, even if I'm like biting my tongue and controlling the words. I think your visualization strategy is going to help me with the energy that I put out. So I am absolutely down for trying that.
And I think you're going to like it. And I think the
Yeah.
cool thing is like, is if, as you're imagining him being more understanding and compassionate, you're also going to find yourself being more understanding and compassionate.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
cool.
Like
Yeah.
naturally without having to force it. Like I am
Exactly.
muscling my way through to take the right actions right now. I want it to be natural, like what I was just talking about for all our listeners. I don't want it to be conscious. I
Mhm.
want it to happen at more of an unconscious level.
Yeah, and it will. It just takes practice as everything else. It's just like another habit and everything
Yeah.
in the universe, or we think it's energy. It's energy,
Mhm.
regardless of whether or not you're in a gym, say you're in a party, you walk into a room and someone has a very captivating essence and like, wow, that
Sure.
energy shifted. It's the same thing. But I love how you just described all of this and it was like so beautiful, but it actually was not what I was. No. But I think this is how the universe works because it's coaches helping coaches, right? And Dan just gave you something
100%.
beautiful
He
to.
did.
I think this is because like this is what we're working on now, and I think that's where his mindset is. But something that he's worked on probably years ago that's just not in the forefront, and it's probably now just as a conscious pattern that you don't even like think about. He would begin to help and coach his clients to visualize their body and visualize themselves doing the exercises even before doing them. He would have
Yeah.
this phrase like visualize yourself becoming the best version of yourself before. Like so that's what I meant.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
he got so we're taking it just a
Yeah.
lesser. Dan went really deep, really fast.
So I brushed past this. So I said, like, I started getting really into visualization for myself and then working on it with clients. It got the main idea of it was I kind of came to the realization that clients would come and like you said, like mostly they have like aesthetic goals or like, want to lose some weight or, I had a lot of guys who wanted to like build muscle. But it's like who you are currently is not capable of building that muscle or you'd already have. So that's the mindset part that we don't really consider. Most people don't consider the role that their mindset's going to play in changing their body. So there's sort of a gap between the goals that you want to achieve and who you are currently. And I found the best way to close that gap and become the version of yourself who's capable of achieving your goals is to spend time visualizing and really connecting with that, almost like I call it like the future version of yourself, a higher version of yourself.
Mm.
So just spending time, like getting really into like, what exactly will I look like? What is the ideal body for me? And then almost more importantly, what's the emotional component, which you mentioned that earlier, what does it feel like to be you when your goals are achieved with that body of your dream how do you feel? How do you move through the world? How do you carry yourself? And really tapping into that level of energy and the emotional state that you associate with your goals. And then I think that really helps to like collapse the timeline and the gap between the timelines and bring that into fruition.
Absolutely. And also, like, that's a joyful approach, right? Like, thinking of the way
Mhm.
we want it to be. It's the
Yeah, it's
same as
fun.
thinking of our huge big job. There's no hardship. It's the opposite of the pain based, I don't want to be in this body. It's the absolute opposite of that. It's just a joyful and thus sustainable approach. I love it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think that that's, yeah, it's kind of helped me too because that is, like I was saying at the beginning, just like a metaphor for life. Fitness, the gym space, nutrition, diet, that's such a beautiful metaphor for everything that unfolds in our life. You can visualize yourself starting a new company or getting the job you wanted or, manifesting the perfect partner or perfect home or whatever it may be. So often, we do live obviously within this reality where it does take time to build muscle, to lose weight. But I do believe that there is a kind of like Dan mentioned, a time collapse that if we think of the goals that are there that we want to achieve as already being within us, we're just almost illuminating them in a way.
Mm.
It makes them a little bit more, in my opinion, tangible, that they're not so far fetched. In this more achievable way and having that emotional component to it just which I really truly believe like the emotion of self-love and self-acceptance is a big part of that like i I am this person even though I'm becoming them. I am that person, as you so beautifully stated. Anything with the I am statement
Mm.
after
It's
it,
powerful. Yeah.
Mhm.
so powerful. And so many people, what I've heard and observed, and I don't know if you too, but Dan too. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not that person who can lift
Mhm.
this amount of weight. I could never lose that amount of weight. And it's like everybody's dimming their own lights, and it's like
Mm.
all I think we're trying to do with you and your coaching, your podcast, and Dan and I, like all I want to do is shine. You have the light within you. I'm just hopefully like holding up like a little bit of a torch, but it's within you and you've got this um magnificent infinite potential that has just not been discovered yet, but it is
Mm.
there.
Well said. Totally agree.
Yeah, wonderful. Kate, this has been such a fun conversation. I feel oh, you want to ask
Yeah,
her?
well, I
Oh
was just
yeah,
gonna I
sure.
just wanna shift gears, real quickly and talk another thing a lot of people struggle with, especially I think when they're probably new to the gym, new to, fitness and taking care of themselves, and adding this new thing to their plate when they already have their family and their job and everything. So it's the idea of, like, overwhelm and not being able to handle it, and I know you have an acronym and way of kinda coaching people through the illusion of overwhelm. You touch
I
on.
absolutely do. I don't know whether you want me to go through all of it or stop me at any point. I will say I used to do overwhelm really, really well. I now believe that overwhelm is simply lazy thinking. So it's scattered thinking. It's focusing on everything that you have to do, everything that might happen, with a special emphasis on those things that aren't within your control. So that's how I now see overwhelm. And yeah, the overwhelmed beast will raise its head from time to time. I have the strategies to knock it back down. And I'll run through a few of them and butt in where you want. But
Yes,
love
please.
my
Yeah.
acronyms.
Okay.
Yeah. So O is for only focus on what you can control. I mean, that is number one. No need spending any energy on all of those things, people, circumstances, weather that are beyond our control. V is for value our daily wins and progress. We're always like looking for the next, what I haven't yet done. I write down 3 reference points for success every single night. 3 things I'm grateful for and 3 reference points for success. And I value that progress because it doesn't come naturally. E is for eliminate unnecessary inputs. So the same way that we don't want low value inputs so far as food, we don't want low value inputs so far as the media we consume, the social media, the people we spend time with. We are going to have to get increasingly amazing at this, at choosing what and who we filter into our mind. So that's the E. R is respect, structure is freedom. So I know we all do a lot, right? We achieve a lot. We've got lots of various focuses in life. The only way I get the things that I get done is I have a structure and I stick to it. And that could, if I describe my daily and weekly structure, initially it might sound overwhelming to someone. I think what is overwhelming is having no structure and knowing that all hours of the day, all hours of the week are hours where you should be doing this. You should be doing that. I love structure. It means I have set hours for set things. I also have set hours for no things. And that is amazing. What's next? R is for the willingness to upgrade that freedom creating structure. So we've admitted that we need structure. Structure is freedom. We don't want to doggedly stick to something that is no longer working for us. So the willingness to upgrade that structure just means look at our life, look at what we're prioritizing and change it where needed. H is have the sensory acuity. I guess this is coming from NLP, to know when your focus has slipped and to drag it back to what is it within your control? What is the number one task? You know, we can all get caught up in busy and ineffective from time to time. So it's just checking in with yourself. E, escape to nature. I said when I created this, I said escape to nature weekly. Now that's absolutely not enough for me. Now I need to escape to nature daily, right? I go for a walk along the river every single day. I used to say I'm a little grumpy bum if I haven't gotten my weekly walk along the beaches in. And now I'm a grumpy bum if it's not daily. So know what works for you. Yeah.
Agree.
L, we're nearly there. L is for lock and load the big rocks that keep you healthy and happy. So the big rocks are those things that you fit into your schedule first so that you've got room for them. They're non-negotiable appointments with you. They're likely exercise and meal prep and very likely time with the people that you love. Lock and load them, make them non-negotiable. And M is the meditate, or maybe it's just mindfulness. Maybe it's journaling or yoga. It's meditation for me. That's my 9 steps to overcome overwhelm.
I love it.
I'm going to have to ask you to put that in an email for me,
For
please.
sure. Of course.
So
For the show notes, for sure. Yeah.
It is just beautiful, and each one that you broke down so eloquently. And gosh, I think something that we can all take valuable lessons from. So thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. I would have said bye to you already. Okay, this conversation has just been so enriching, and I'm so excited for our audience to hear. But before we let you go, I just want to open the space. We covered so much and so many different topics, from, self-love to mindset to healthy habits, fitness, nutrition. Is there anything that you feel you want to say that we didn't cover? If not, that's okay. And then if you'd please let us know too where people could find you and listen to your podcast. We will link all of this in the show notes as well. But your website it has amazing information there. It puts our website just shaking. But it's beautiful and has lots of wonderful information and resources as well. So where could people find you?
We covered a lot. We covered everything I need to cover. The best place to connect with me is strongbodygreenplanet.com. There you will find links to my Healthification podcast. It is 870 plus episodes deep, and I interview passionate and compassionate activists, authors, athletes, doctors, and entrepreneurs. It's my heart. I love it. It's one of the highlights of my week. So that's Healthification. Via that website, you'll find all my social media links as well. And you'll also find the Plant Positive Journal, which is a journal I created to plant little vegan seeds all around the world. It helps you master your time and your mind, while also, if you're up for it, and I hope you are, one day at a time, adopting a healthy plant-based lifestyle. So that's all via the website.
Wonderful. We'll link that in the show notes. And again, Kate, it has been an absolute pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Deep Play.
Elise, Dan, so much fun, such a natural and impactful for me conversation. So I hope we provided value for our listeners as well. And thank you for everything that you do and for the energy that you bring to everything you do. I'm grateful.